Hi, everyone, and welcome to this unusual return to the WitchFoot podcast. I'm Andrea, and I am recording by myself today because I felt it was time to come back to the community and to the space and to see kind of where I felt it was by just jumping back in. And I wanted to give you guys some updates on what we've been up to, as well as to just kind of explore some ideas, including my North Node return, which I am in the middle of right now. So very excited about that. It's actually the Aries full moon today on September 29th, 2023. And so that is just adding extra fuel to that Aries North Node fire. So some updates about us. First of all, we've been away for a bit over a year. I think our last episode was posted in June of 2022. And so it's been a while, and I wanted to give you guys some updates on where we've been. We both rejoined the world of work, which was sad and necessary. And obviously, we would have loved to have just continued uninterrupted in this space, but I think it has actually been grist for the mill for both of us, but I won't speak for Wendy. However, speaking for Wendy, I did want to share just some of what's going on for her because she's got some cool things happening in her life. She is killing it on a podcast called Criminal Discourse right now. And so if you want to find out more, Criminal Discourse, it's on all of the major podcasts like Apple Music and Spotify, or you can find their website, criminaldiscoursepodcast.com. And you should definitely check them out there because they are so cool. And she has a kiddo. She has two kiddos, but she has one who just went from elementary school to middle school. So that's a big milestone. And then, she went back to work. She is in human services and is absolutely incredible at doing direct service work in a way that just, continues to humble me because it takes a very special spirit to be in the space she's in, and she occupies it so beautifully. So that is where she's at. She is not out of the WitchFoot game. We are just moms who work with schedules that we are sorting through. And so I do think that both of us will be back together soon. And either way, I plan on keeping these episodes up on a semi-regular basis until we kind of form something more formal. So in my life, I cut my hair. And so I love it. And I got some new tattoos, which are awkward at an awkward angle to show you. There's a dragon. There's Venus. She's in two pieces on my thumbs here. And then I also had to get my homie Pluto. So some new tattoos. If you are listening to this episode instead of seeing it, I just awkwardly plunged my wrists and hands at the camera in order to show some new tattoos. I got a cat. So he's been with us for a year. He's actually here recording with me, my very faithful companimal. And my son started school, so he just went into K4, which I am very excited about, and sad. I have mixed feelings about school, but I am excited for the journey he's on and for him to learn. And I also went back to work. My story has chapters, but we'll just skip ahead to right now. I am doing some really fulfilling writing work and really enjoying that. So, my other update, because I will probably end up inserting it into pieces of this overall episode, is that I am currently taking a course from Katie Childs on nervous system regulation, and it is just absolutely amazing, and it is a big part of what brings me back to you all, because in reflection on the year that I had with WitchFoot prior to now, I was in a really dysregulated, really depressed place, but like so many, was so functional that it was just not a top priority. So now that I am making it a top priority, it is having really beautiful effects all over my life. And this is by far one of my favorite, the fact that I'm coming back and recording for you guys. So, hello. So I'm going to reorient myself to my work life in general. And I say that to say that WitchFoot is actually a big part of my overall dream. I have wanted to run my own company and specifically to work in magic, to do magical work for a very long time, as in like my entire life since I was a wee babe and had no words for it, but just communicated with nature and animals and thought that that was normal until it wasn't. So my life right now is going through a variety of changes, and I'm hoping that it all kind of, it's feeling like it's all bringing me here to more magical work. And I do consider this podcast to be a magical space because I certainly feel magical every time I chat with Wendy. And it's really nice just kind of talking to you guys too, like being in a confessional. I've been doing relationship repair. I've been doing health and exercise stuff. Actually, the most exciting thing to come out of that was just kind of figuring out like the medicine that my body needed to get back on track. I've been having more and more body issues in terms of like mobility and pain and spinal issues since I was like ever. I don't know. I was diagnosed with scoliosis in middle school, so since then, and I'm in my late 30s. But like this, I've been just rediscovering myself and this movement practice that has been really rewarding, and I'm hoping to actually share some of that with you guys. And we'll know more about how to talk through that soon. And then, I'm getting more mature, I think. I think I've always had a great deal of maturity toward the tasks that I must do. And I have somehow stayed in a childlike save me space for the tasks that I am most dying to do. So I kick butt and take names all day under the payroll for other people. And then when it comes to my own projects, I've not had that same relationship. So I'm definitely changing my whole orientation to WitchFoot and to being a magical being and living a magical life. So very excited about that. And it sometimes involves things as mundane as taking notes and making an outline for a podcast, but it is definitely helpful for grounding me into the work. If you remember my chart at all, you know I don't have a lot of earth, so not a lot of grounding. One thing I did want to dive into a little bit with this community, especially in case anybody else has had recent experience with their North Node return, if we have any Taurus North Nodes out there who've just kind of been through this. But I am having my North Node return right now. It already was exact, so at this point it is leaving its conjunction, but they are still definitely within a range of influence. I think it's less than a degree away from my North Node. So feeling that in my 7th house. Actually, my North Node is basically on my descendant. And it has been this revolution of self because I have an Aries North Node in my 7th house, so Libra rising. And so the effect of a Libra rising chart in general is kind of this topsy-turvy relationship to energy, because everything that should be fire is air, everything that should be water is earth. It's just kind of like a flip. I love that. I kind of like that template of opposites. But anyway, it is doubled down on with my North Node, it feels like, because having an Aries 7th house North Node is basically like I feel like I've been centering relationships my whole life as a Libran, but if I'm really being honest, because it's a Libra South Node in my first, I've been honoring relationships to serve me. And that hasn't actually worked very well because, for the most part, the inauthenticity and the unspoken need and any manipulation that like I was creating, not to mention just because relationships, I was fulfilling like this sense of safety with relationships, I would just keep people around and keep relationships around that like had no nourishment left in them. And so that was obviously something to grow through, but I felt like I centered relationships very much. And now I am coming to understand that centering relationships, it for me is actually about coming from a place of deep authenticity. This is only echoed by the fact, right, that I have a 10th house Leo stellium where I'm supposed to be this heart forward person. And so for me, the most important thing, if I actually care about my relationships, isn't creating pleasantries or keeping things copacetic or maintaining connection at all cost. It's about maintaining my selfhood at all cost, so that there's no misunderstandings. And when we say we're in alignment, we truly are, because I've left nothing back. There's nothing to discover or that could trip us up, because I have been 100% forthright about myself and my needs and my desires and all of that the entire time. I am just now realizing how far away the mic is from my little computer here, so we'll see what it's been picking up so far. I don't know where I left off, but we will talk about... So with my North Node return, I am noticing a lot of things. I am loving the return to myself and to my selfhood. I think I was a very self-centered person growing up, and I think I mean by that I just knew who I was and I knew what I loved, and that I really lost touch with that over the last 18 years or so. Sure, we'll start there. I think longer, but we'll start there. Because returns come around every 18 years, in case that was unclear. So you have one around 18, 19. I am 37. I am having one. It's like a 36, 37 type of vibe for your second North Node return. Which I also realized is like this pivotal moment where you get keyed up for all these other things. Like, I'm about to have my Pluto square. I had a taste of it, but then Pluto went retrograde. So, but your Pluto square, followed by your Neptune square, followed by your Uranus opposition, followed by your Chiron return, followed by your second Saturn return. So, anyway, glad for the little boost here with the North Node return before all of that goes down. The ability to come back to myself before I get totally reoriented. So yeah, but there's been like really fun callbacks with the North Node return, like music I used to love, like angsty emo stuff, but also like really magical stuff that makes me feel like I'm on a quest. And I've had some resolutions of things that have been plaguing me since forever, family things, and just kind of repairing relationships in that way. And so it's had some really beautiful effects. And it does seem to be bolstering my drive to just connect in general, because I think with the return to authenticity, my desire to be met by other people is so much greater. Relationships feel really heavy when they're all about masks and masking, and the more layers I peel off and the more myself I become, the more exciting the prospect of being in connection becomes. So what does this little episode mean, and where are things headed? I don't have all the answers. Wendy and I have not decided on all the answers, but we're both excited to return to readings. And so we will be figuring that out. I think the website needs a zhuzh. And so we will be figuring that out. And then, yeah, just coming back with services, maybe definitely going to be talking about more astrology and more horror. I am so excited about some of the stuff that has been happening in horror since I last spoke with you guys. So, so good. More fantasy and magic. So, I'm a big dragon nerd, hence the new tattoo. Um, and I've actually been kind of reaching into this sphere of like connecting with my dragon spirit guide and with a dragon, astrally. So we'll see what comes from that. But just in general, I'm also a fantasy nerd. So I would love to share more of that and get more into that world. Um, I've been doing some individual, like, spiritual connecting, which has been really beautiful. And so getting to tell you guys and share more about having a personal angelic connection, just being able to feel more connected to in a personal way instead of like to source very broadly, to like have these specific connections, is starting to come through for me. And so I want to share that because it's been so healing just in the short time that I've had it, that I can only imagine it would help people. And then I am currently amidst that nervous system regulation course, as I mentioned, and that is having such big effects. And I just kind of want to be with you guys and be with community as I go through those effects, because I think to document the journey will be so rewarding when it's in the rearview mirror, and even for moments when I'm amidst and amongst it and puzzling through. So glad to be returning for that reason, and to help anybody who also is kind of on a healing path. And maybe I'll be able to share some things that feel connective and relative to your life as well. And then the dance and the movement magic. So I've been having these beautiful periods where I make playlists all the time. I'm like, I have like serial killer level collections of like songs and stuff on Spotify, and I have like over 100 playlists that I've made. I do not maintain all of those, but they're there. So what I'll do, because they're typically themed around like a specific like vibe, is that I will put one of those on, and it creates this kind of container, right? Like I kind of know what the general vibe of that playlist is, and so I kind of know like the emotional range and all of those things. But because I've been curating them for years and years and years, I don't know all the songs on them. I certainly don't have them memorized, and there's so many of them, right? And so there's this aspect of randomization while still being in this container of like a very specific vibe. Like I have my fall spirit one, which is probably one of my favorites. And it's like very moody, misty, unrequited love and longing, and the engagement of darkness, right? Like bringing darkness into the light, and just fall. So I have that one going on right now. But so I'll put one of those on, and I will just move, and the movement is so healing, and it both challenges me to kind of be back in my body, because I've spent so many decades disassociated. It gets me back in my body. It puts me in direct contact with source. Like when I am moving and dancing, I feel like I have an intimate connection to like the all that is, which that's so powerful. And it definitely feels like an authenticity breakthrough. So I'm trying to figure out how to create containers like that for online spaces as well as in person. But I will roll that out as I know kind of how that's going to work, because I'm thinking of streaming, and so that would just be a new world for me. So those are all the updates. That's where WitchFoot is. We are coming back. We're both so excited that it's spooky season, and we miss you guys. And if you've missed Wendy and you're like, why the fuck wasn't that bitch on this episode, please do go stalk her over on Criminal Discourse, and just enjoy her work over there, because she is so freaking fabulous and off the charts smart, and Trish is amazing too. So just check them out. And otherwise, more release soon, and a whole ass plan if one comes together like that. Love you guys. Have the most magical Aries full moon today and enjoy the fall.